Good evening. This is VK3EKH, VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria, with regular Friday night broadcast, coming to you from the studios of VK3 CSJ in Narre Warren South. Good evening, everybody, on this 18th of February. This is VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel, broadcasting on prime frequency of 3541 kilohertz in the 80 meter amateur radio band, and simulcasting on 160 meters on 1865 kilohertz. We're also broadcasting via the Melbourne TV repeater, digital television repeater VK3RTV, via digital channel number 2. Standard definition. We still haven't quite got the HD one sorted out yet, although that item has been mailed off today to hopefully be repaired. Nevertheless, good evening, everybody. We also have a email address, so if anybody wishes to send reports, the email address is vk3ekh@gmail.com, vk3ekh@gmail.com. And also you can find a Discord chat window via the ASV website at www.asv.org.au. Look under the Radio Astronomy tab down to where it has a link to the Friday night broadcast, and there you will see a link to the Discord chat room, so you can sign up and anonymously, or you can come in on your own name, call sign, whatever. So we are monitoring the Discord chat window as we speak, and we say a very pleasant good evening to Martin, VK7JAH. It's joined in, and we've also got our first email from Don down there on the next screen down, VK3HDX. Alright, we're probably doing a short cast tonight. I think I say that every Friday, but in most cases I had to scrounge for articles in the last hour, and I lost one. I clicked on the X part of the web page and I lost it. I couldn't find it, so I'm down one article already. Anyway, I'll speak very slowly for the other articles. Nevertheless, there's no solar reports from our space weather woman, Tamitha. There's nothing current from her YouTube channel, and nothing else really there at this stage. So I will, at this point in time, go straight into the usual story on the Astronomical Society of Victoria for those that are tuned in for the first time. I'm not sure if the audio level on the repeater is loud enough. It's not up where it should be, so I've only just turned the camera on, in fact, so I'll just see if I can up the level a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll get this going. So I'll just go into the sound setup for the video camera. I forgot to mention about the YouTube channel too. There it is. Alright, so we need, oh yeah, I can see why it's not there. I usually throw in a little bit of EQ. A little bit of EQ that I throw in tends to give it enough lift. So alright, that's done that, and I'll just go 4, 4, 4, yep, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, I suppose that'll do. Oh yes, still too much. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that's fixed the sound on the Melbourne TV repeater and the YouTube channel, so you can turn your volumes down now on the television sets. First cup of coffee I've had all day. Good evening. Welcome to television. Oh yes, and the YouTube stream. Yes, you can find the HD version of the TV tonight on the HD channel, which is VK3CSJ. Just type in VK3CSJ in your favourite YouTube search engine, which is generally the same for everybody, and you'll find the live indication for tonight's broadcast. And there goes a noisy car, which you might have heard on the outside there. Alright, the Astronomical Society of Victoria was founded in 1922, so we're celebrating its 100 years of being around, servicing the population of astronomers, amateur astronomers that are interested in studying the sky, even just looking at it. So the ASV has always been there for folks interested in the sky and doing great guns, as they say. The Astronomical Society of Victoria, founded in 1922, founded in 1920. It wasn't found. It's not as if it's just laying around to be found somewhere under a rock. Founded in 1922 and comprises over 1,600 members throughout Victoria and the rest of Australia. Membership of the Society is open to anyone with an interest in astronomy. The Society's objectives are to encourage the study and practice of astronomy. Monthly meetings are usually held on the second Wednesday of each month. Meetings start at 8 p.m. in the Mulia Hall, Burwood Avenue, Melbourne, near the Melbourne Observatory, which is not too far from the Shrine of Remembrance. Parking is available in Burwood Avenue, Dillis Brooks Drive. Admission is free and visitors are most welcome. Privileges of membership include the right to borrow books, periodicals and other publications from the Society's extensive library located at the Melbourne Observatory. Receipt of the ASV's magazine Crux, containing articles, news, observing notes and the like from various members that contribute to articles to the magazine. There's also the free provision of the Astronomical Yearbook, kind of like an almanac of sorts, for observations in the sky. It's actually what I'm reading from right now. This is, if I hold this up to the screen, this is the 2022 almanac, the yearbook as it's called. Quite a thick work of art. And the introduction to the ASV is always on the back cover, which is what I always read from every day, every Friday. Somewhat I don't remember it off by heart, but it gets the juices flowing. There's a reason why I read it out. Nevertheless, access is available to telescopes on members' nights, held regularly at the Melbourne Observatory and after the monthly meetings, weather permitting. These instruments include the Society's 300mm equatorial reflector and a 300mm portable reflector. There's also a 200mm refractor, which is managed by the Royal Botanic Gardens, and a photoheliograph are also housed at the observatory and are accessible to members too. The Society also has a number of 200mm refractors available for short period loan, so members can try before you buy a concept. Dobsonian type telescopes. Regular Society Club night meetings are held on the first and last Fridays of each month at the Lodge, and members are encouraged to use the Society's instruments located there to gain first-hand experience in telescope use. These instruments include a 508mm equatorial reflector and a number of smaller reflectors. Members are also encouraged to make use of the Society's country property located near Heathcote, some 90-minute drive north of Melbourne. There are a range of instruments available for members to use. which range from 300mm to 1000mm in aperture. Also located on the site is an 8.5 metre radio steerable telescope, which members can also access and get involved with through the radio astronomy section. Meetings are encouraged. That is to say, members are encouraged to make and use telescopes. Advice and help on both matters are provided willingly to newcomers desiring to do the same thing. Instrument making is only one of the number of common interest activities catered for within the society. And I'll take the advantage this night of reading out those various sections just to add a bit more time to the scheme of things. In alphabetical order, you have the astrophotography section, the Bendigo section, club section, comet section, computing section, cosmology and astrophysics, deep sky, demonstrator section, diurnals, which meet on a Tuesday morning, Great Melbourne Telescope section, historical section, instrument making, juniors, lunar and planetary, media section, new astronomers group, outdoor lightning improvement, radio astronomy, solar and space exploration, which meets on the first Thursday of the month. Very pleasant good evening to Robert if you're listening. Anyway, so if any of those sections are of any value to you, if you think any of those in particular groups might have some interest to you from an astronomy point of view, by all means get in contact with the section director, which can be found on the ASV website, which is just where I read all that from. You click on the sections tab and downloads box with all those sections listed, and each section is an individual page which usually has contact information for the section directors, and they will point you in the right direction as to how to get involved, what Zoom meetings they've got, and all that sort of information. You don't have to be necessarily a member of the ASV to sit in on a meeting. You're more than welcome to pop in as a visitor and see if it's all kosher. But the general theme is to, of course, become a member of the society. Like I say, there's over 1,600 members at the moment, so it's pretty good. So apart from all that, we also have published something called a Crux Extra, which I think comes out every other week, sort of thing. Just a little fill-in between the publication of Crux magazine, and just to keep members abreast of what's coming up in the next few weeks and all that sort of thing. So, but for those who don't have internet access and likes to post mail the normal way, the address for contacting the ASV is the Secretary, Astronomical Society Victoria, GPO Box 1059, Melbourne, Victoria 3001, and all will be revealed. But otherwise, the ASV has a pretty good website, and you can find all that at www.asv.org.au, and all will be revealed there too. And I can see that the ASV has released a calendar, a centenary calendar is now on sale, and that's all that information is available from the home page. They're making a bit of a plug for the Messier Star Party coming up on the 26th of March, that weekend, particularly the Saturday. So the Messier Star Party, now I'm not 100% sure at this moment whether the Messier Star Party will be open to public. I think it's usually members. I can't see anything else there, but nevertheless, for the members of the society, it's one of the bigger do's that occur up at the Dark Sky site, although it's been a little bit suppressed because of COVID over the last couple of years, but we'll be all meeting up there on the 26th of March, and yeah, just to explore the homepage of the ASV for more information on that. And of course there are links available to contact the President or other members there of the Council to find out more information if you wish, if you don't know what's going on. You're tuned to ASV Radio, VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel, coming to you from the studios of VK3CSJ in Narre Warren South. Very pleasant good evening to you all. Who else is up there? We have Cassiopeia. G'day Nebs. Haven't seen you for a little while. Maybe you'll be at the Messier Star Party. We also have Roberto listening in. Good evening to you, Clint. Yes. There's a comment there. Okay, cool. All right. No other emails have come through at this stage that I can see, so vk3ekh@gmail.com. All right. Now, let me finish off the sky notes, courtesy of the Melbourne Planetarium. The dates of interest is what I'm particularly interested in. I'm not sure where I finished off last week. I think I got as far as the 16th of February. Maybe not. But one of the reasons why we have the Messier Star Party at the Dark Sky site up at Heathcote is to basically celebrate, I suppose, Charles Messier's catalogue of 100 deep space objects. Charles Messier did a great lot of work in his time, catalogued various deep sky objects, and the aim of the Messier Star Party is to set up a telescope and see how many Messier objects can be seen through your telescope, or even perhaps by eye. Anyway, on the 16th of February 1771, Charles Messier's catalogue of 100 deep space objects. Okay. On the 17th of February 1965, Ranger 8 USA probe launched to image the moon in aid of the Apollo landings coming up. On the 18th of February 1930, Clyde Tombaugh, that's how you pronounce his name, Tombaugh, discovers Pluto using a blink comparator in a systematic search for the supposed planet X beyond Neptune, and ended up discovering the planet Pluto as it was. Clyde Tombaugh, I don't know, I'm not sure that pronunciation. On the 20th of February 1962, first American astronaut into orbit, Mr. John Glenn, in Mercury Friendship 7, in 3 orbits lasting almost 5 hours. 1962. On the 22nd of February 1632, Galileo publishes Dialogue concerning the 2 chief world systems, which compared solar system models and led to conflict with and censure by the good old Catholic Church. So that was February 22, 1632. Galileo publishes the Dialogue concerning the 2 chief world systems. And I think that had him going into jail at one stage. I could be wrong on that. But yeah, I'm not sure. There's something else about that story too that was only just recently changed in the history books of the Catholic Church. Yeah, somewhere in the 70s. I think something was finally changed to acknowledge Galileo. The 23rd of February. It is February, yes. 23rd of February 1987. SN 1987A. Supernova 1987A. Closest and brightest supernova since 1054, observed in the Large Magellanic Cloud, 168,000 light years away. It was visible to the naked eye for months. We're definitely overdue for a decent supernova, I think, and one better happen soon. Just be so great to see something like that in the sky with this in this day and age. Nevertheless, 168,000 light years away, visible by a naked eye for quite a few months. Supernova SN 1987A. I mean, 1987. I was around in 1987. I don't know why I didn't look up and look for it. I just don't know what was I doing in 87. Okay. On the 24th of February 1968, postgraduate student Jocelyn Bell, one of my favourites, from Northern Ireland. That's what yeah, okay, maybe I knew that, just forgot. Anyway, so yes, 24th, this is a significant date, really, quite significant. 24th of February 1968, and I was only 8 years old. Postgraduate student Jocelyn Bell discovers first pulsar, so which was first named Little Green Man, LGM, before they used the NAS and realised it was something else. On the 26th of February 1966, the first Saturn 1B rocket was launched, which led to Saturn V Apollo missions. Excuse me. On the 27th of February 1942, another important day, J.S. Hay, H-E-Y, J.S. Hay in the UK, discovered radio emissions coming from the Sun. And the last date, on the 28th of February 1997, the first evidence for gamma ray bursts, GRB, as extragalactic energy sources. So February's been quite an active year over the last 100 years or so, and there it is, thanks to the planetarium for all that interesting information which I always read out. Okay, we've got a couple of emails there, I've noticed. An email from, it's Discord, so no, it's nothing important, it's just Discord themselves letting me know that there's activity there. Alright, yes. Now, like I say, I don't have any video footage to run tonight, so it's just going to be a short session, I think. And I like I said before, I lost an article before. I had it all queued up, and I accidentally deleted it from my webpage collection, and I don't know where I found it, so I lost it. Anyways, okay, this is a shortish article to start off with, enough to get me going. And I've got a picture to put up too. I did save a picture of for this article, so I'll just push that up onto the screen while I'm thinking about it. Let me just do that now. I'll probably temporarily lose audio on the TV, but I'll bring it back in a tick. Stand by. Alright, so that image you are looking at there, let's go back to the article. This is VK3EKH. Saving cosmology with AI, artificial intelligence. In order to unravel the mysteries of the cosmos on the smallest possible scales, scientists are turning to artificial intelligence. February 17, 2022. Courtesy of Astronomical. The article, the picture that you're looking at, for those watching YouTube, and I'm pretty sure I'm streaming YouTube. I'm just going to double. Yep, I am. Just make sure of that. For those watching YouTube, VK3CSJ in the search engine, you'll see the visual side of the presentation tonight, and also on the TV up there. Anyway, what you're looking at, I've actually got to check if there's audio there. Oh, yep, there is. Good. Just double checking. Okay, so you've got three pictures there. There's low resolution, high resolution, and super resolution. Not very good images, really, as far as I'm concerned, but it sort of illustrates simulations of a large volume of the universe. Low resolution and small bits of the cosmos. High resolution and a combination of the two create create using machine learning programs, which produces this super resolution image. Yeah, okay. So cosmologist Francisco Navarro has a problem. He says, we are spending billions of dollars in ground and space telescopes to decipher the mysteries of the universe, he explains, but we are missing most of the information that the surveys contain. The issue is that in any survey, most of the information is at the very smallest scales. For example, if you look at the picture of a forest, you'll get some information, like a rough idea of how many trees are in there. Once you zoom in a bit, you can see the individual trees and get more information, say the different species and their heights. If you zoom in even more, the amount of information explodes. You can now determine their age, health, leaf structure, distant colorings, and more. As cosmologists work to unravel mysteries like the nature of dark matter, dark energy, and the expansion history of the universe, they often employ one of their favorite tools, galaxy surveys. These are maps of the position and velocities of millions of galaxies and are some of the largest collaborations in the world. For example, the Dark Energy Survey involves over 400 scientists from over 25 institutions across 7 countries. While mapping only a relatively tiny fraction of all the contents of the universe, these surveys routinely provide powerful probes of cosmology. However, almost all cosmology work involves taking these massive surveys and reducing them to a comparatively simple statistical summaries, like the average spacing between galaxies or the number of galaxies at different distances. Cosmologists then connect these simple statistical summaries to the quantities they care about, like the amount of dark matter or the expansion rate of the universe. To squeeze more juice from the cosmology orange, astronomers want to be able to use the smallest possible scales, which contain most of the information in the surveys. But while those small scales contain a lot of rich cosmological information, they are also full of non-cosmological pollution. Many people have shown that most of the information about fundamental physics and also about astrophysics is on those small scales, explains Navarro. A research scientist at the Simmons Foundation in the New York City. In the regime, it is hard for us to find patterns or even to develop some intuition given the complexity of the physics involved in it or on it, he says. All that extra information, like the dynamics of individual galaxies or supernova explosion rates, is great if you're an astrophysicist, but an annoying contaminant if you're a cosmologist. Astronomers do not have the sophistication to separate out the astrophysical from cosmological information. When two galaxies are interacting in a certain way, for example, is that an imprint from the influence of dark matter, or because of feedback from giant black holes? To separate the information and get to the cosmological signal, we need better astronomers, AI astronomers. AI has to potential to find the optimal solution that allow us to extract all the information, explains Navarro, who has worked with collaborators around the world to develop artificial intelligence methods for cosmology. But before AI methods can be let loose on the universe, they must be taught how to be good astronomers. For that, Navarro and his collaborators turned to simulations. Cosmological simulations incorporate knowledge of all the physics that can possibly be shoved into a single computer. The expansion rate of the universe, the gravitational tug-of-war that shapes large structures, star formation, explosions from giant black holes, magnetic fields, and more all go into a modern simulation. These simulations aim to reproduce as much of the physics in the real universe as possible, and then match those simulations to observations. But with all the messiness of small-scale physics involved, that matching is hard, unless you're an AI. This is a simple task for artificial intelligence, since it will identify patterns and find optimal solutions to problems that we do not know how to treat, says Navarro. Navarro and his colleagues produce thousands of simulations, varying all sorts of cosmological parameters like the amount of dark matter, and astrophysical parameters like the strength of star formation. Then they feed these simulations into a type of AI known as a convolutional neural network, which is designed to identify even the most subtle patterns. When we show the networks many different maps or grids with different cosmologies and astrophysics, the network is learning some pattern that can be used to infer the cosmological parameters, says Navarro. While promising, their work is just beginning. Most importantly, Navarro urges caution, explaining that artificial intelligence can learn literally anything from these simulations, including patterns and connections that aren't real, like artifacts from the simulation itself. To test the artificial intelligence, it must be run not only on simulations but on existing surveys with known results. Only then can it be trusted to provide cosmological information for future data sets. However, he's excited for the future. It says here, "I think AI is just starting. We are in the phase of exponential growth," he said, "and I personally don't know how far AI can bring us, but I'm pretty sure we'll never be as before." Full stop. Okay, hope you followed that. Let's go back to me. Right, so there you go. That's artificial intelligence encroaching into astronomy, astrophysics and cosmology. It's all one and the same. You're tuned to ASV Radio, VK3 EKH, broadcasting on 3541 kilohertz in the 80 meter amateur radio band, simulcasting on 160 meters on 1865 kilohertz, and also via the Melbourne television repeater, VK3 RTV2, and the stream on YouTube. And we also have a chat window, Discord, and an email address, vk3ekh@gmail.com. Alright, now the next thing I was going to go on here is something about near-Earth objects. Now I also have a picture up for this one too, so I shall throw that up and carry on. This is VK3EKH. Let's see. Alright, sorry about that, chaps. Got to find out. I know there's a way within vMix so that we don't lose audio each time we change away from a camera. It really is a nuisance factor. Alright, article. Now, alright, so this is courtesy of astronomy.com website. What are the largest near-Earth objects? That picture on the screen you are looking at right now, tracking nearby objects, are the orbits of over 1,400 potentially hazardous asteroids. You know, every week I always give that count out at the end there of how many potentially hazardous asteroids. Well, in this particular picture here, we see the orbits of 1,400 potentially hazardous asteroids, which were mapped in this illustration, made in 2013. 9 years later, an additional 800 potentially hazardous asteroids have been identified. Alrighty then. So, what is the largest asteroid and comet considered to be a near-Earth object? How large are they? Question mark is the question. Doomsday impactors are a staple of modern science fiction. The most famous real-world example of an impact wiping out much of the life on Earth, of course, the object that took out the dinosaurs some 66 million years ago. Thankfully, events of that magnitude are fairly uncommon, happening about once every few hundred or millions of years. But the possibility is there. So space agencies around the globe have taken to monitoring the skies for near-Earth objects, NEOs. These objects are comets, and asteroids whose objects take them within 1.3 astronomical units, AU. And of course, 1 AU is the average distance between the Earth and the Sun, or our star, our lovely star. On that note, the largest comets and asteroids tend to stay far enough away that they have very little to worry about. The largest asteroid considered a NEO is 1036 Ganymede, G-A-N-Y-M-E-D, Ganymede, that's probably how it's pronounced, Ganymede. This asteroid is about 23 miles, or 37 kilometers in diameter, with a closest solar approach of 1.24 AU. 1036 Ganymede is just within the minimum distance to categorize it as an NEO. The largest comet in the sky today is 109P Swift-Tuttle. At 26 kilometers in diameter, Swift-Tuttle is about twice the size of the object believed to have wiped out the dinosaurs. However, this comet poses little threat to us as it makes its closest solar approach of 0.95 AU every 133 years. And in fact, we have to thank for the Perseid meteor shower. Just read that little sentence out again. And in fact, we have to thank for the Perseid meteor shower. That's what it says. They're missing a word in there somewhere. I guess we have to thank the Perseid meteor shower for that particular Swift-Tuttle comet. I think that's what they're trying to say. It's actually the little guys that we need to be more concerned about, as they are more likely to sneak past our detection. Earth's closest encounter on record with a known NEO was with 2020 VT4, which passed a mere 375 kilometers above Earth's surface on the 13th of November 2020. That's pretty darn close. The asteroid was spotted only after it made its closest approach. The previous closest asteroid, 2020 QG, had skimmed past Earth just 3 months before 2020 VT4. It too was not seen prior to its close pass. So there are some scary things out there we have to be mindful of, and hopefully our Earth detection systems out there are activating and being able to see these things, but not all the time are we really looking. Well, there it is. VK3EKH ASV radio. Time is 10:42. We have a report from Ian. G'day Ian, VK3VIN. Yeah, pity you lost the article. Yeah, I know, I am too. I'll find it for next week. Alright, next. Next, you might ask, what is next? What is next? China. Something about good old China. That's it. On to the next article. I'm enjoying my cup of coffee here. Alright. Revealed. This is interesting, I suppose. Revealed. China, not SpaceX. You might remember. Last week, you might recall. How's it go on that Lost in Space thing? Each time the next episode of Lost in Space, they would say, last week, if you recall. I should get that. There's this little sound bit that I can use. Anyway, last Friday, or was it last the week before? I can't remember now. I said that SpaceX was going to, one of its rockets was going to, or part of its rocket was going to crash into the moon. Apparently it's not SpaceX, after all, but it's a bit of China's junk. China, not SpaceX, is to blame for the rogue rocket that will soon hit the moon, says scientists. A rocket part left in space after a launch will strike the moon on March the 4th this year at a speed of about 5,700 miles per hour. It will leave a crater on the lunar surface. But contrary to earlier stories published on January 27 and February the 3rd, the object now appears to be of Chinese origin and not SpaceX, which was initially reported. Ironically, it now appears that the object comes from a Chinese mission to return a sample of lunar rock to help scientists understand why the moon is so heavily cratered. Bill Gray at Project Pluto software that tracks near-Earth objects has published the correction to his initial claim that the doomed object was a part of SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket launched on February 11, 2015. To put a NASA satellite into Earth orbit, Gray now says that he thinks the object is actually from the launch of a China National Space Administration. Chang, C-H-A-N-G apostrophe E 5T1 lunar mission, which was launched in October 2014. Oh yes, but there's more to this. The author here says, I am persuaded that the object about to hit the moon on 2022 March 4 at 12:25 UTC is actually the Chang 5T1 rocket stage. Chang, I think that's how you pronounce it, C-H-A-N-G-E, Chang. It's a little apostrophe comma before the E. Chang's 5T1 was an experimental mission to test a capsule during re-entry into Earth's atmosphere in advance of a full Chang 5 mission, the first sample return mission for 45 years. It successfully sent back valuable lunar rock samples to Earth in 2020. The lunar rock samples returned are 2 billion years old, which makes them the youngest moon rock scientists have. The samples show that the moon was active, much longer active than previously thought. The Errant object, the third stage booster from a Long March 3C rocket, was launched from the some satellite launch center in China on October 23rd, 2014. It's now in a highly elliptical orbit of Earth, and that takes it beyond the distance of the moon. On March 4, 2022, it will crash into the far side of the Moon. It's possible that the crater it causes could be imaged by the NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. Actually said that correctly without screwing it up. Alright, there it is. That's how short that article was, but it was so full of commercials and ads, it was disjointing, but I managed to get through it. Oh dear. 1047 VK3 EKH here on here. Okay, now what's this article? Do I have a picture of this? Now I did take a picture of this, but I couldn't find it on my desktop, so all I can say to it, it's a gorgeous picture of Neptune. And this article, dated February 17, 2022, by Jimmy Carter, not the political person. This is courtesy of the Planetary Society. The Planetary Society, of which I'm a member, is quite worthwhile. They're doing great things in getting certain things done. But it was founded by Carl Sagan and a few others, and it's good to see that it's still ripping along. Return to Neptune. The plans to send an orbiter to the elusive planet. Okay. Is it time NASA sent an orbiter to study the other blue planet in our solar system? Proposals for missions to study the ice giant planet Neptune and its mysterious moon Triton have been on NASA's to-do list for over a decade, but nothing has happened until now. A mission to explore one of the ice giants, Uranus and Neptune, was one of the three priorities set out by the last decadal survey in 2010, along with Jupiter's moon Europa and a sample return mission to Mars. With the Europa Clipper mission due to launch in October 2024 and the Perseverance rover already on the red planet, NASA had made good progress on two of those. But what about the ice giants? Reasons to send a flagship class mission to Neptune are laid out in two papers: Neptune Odyssey, Mission to Neptune, Triton System, and Neptune and Triton, a flagship for everyone. The latter is one of over 500 white papers now being considered by the National Archimedes, which will publish in the first half of 2022 its once per decade planetary science and astrobiology decadal survey that will make recommendations for NASA's missions. Will Neptune feature? ? The science case for return to Neptune. Of all the planets in the solar system, we know the least about Uranus and Neptune. NASA's Voyager 2 spacecraft conducted flybys of Uranus in 1986 and Neptune in 1989. It gave us our first and only close-up discovered 6 new moons and 4 rings around Neptune. Found a great dark spot, storm in its blue methane gas atmosphere, and saw hints of an underground ocean on its largest moon Triton. Voyager 2 flyby of Triton was its final act before spinning off into deep space. No spacecraft has been very close to Neptune since, but the science case for a new mission is mounting. In January 2019, Triton was identified as the highest priority candidate in a paper called the NASA Roadmap to Ocean Worlds. Neptune also happens to have the same radius as many of the exoplanets that astronomers are finding elsewhere in the cosmos. Many are expecting the decadal survey to recommend only a flagship mission to collect the rock samples now being collected on Mars by Perseverance rover, but that could be delayed to allow a time-sensitive launch to the ice giant. Given that there are also a proposal to send an orbiter to Uranus, why might Neptune be the better target for the big mission? ? One of the problems we have as a community is that we have two ice giants, said Abigail Reimer, Program Officer of NASA and Principal Investigator for Neptune Odyssey. She says, we don't want to choose one, and we need to go to both. But the main reason to go to Neptune now is that the plumes observed by Voyager 2 on Triton are in sunlight at the moment at the South Pole. That South Pole goes into darkness in the year 2049, but some of the major plumes are still in sunlight into 2060. So it's a nice big wide open window. Triton breaks the tie between Uranus and Neptune in terms of scientific interest because it's the only major moon in our solar system that's in a retrograde orbit. Its orbit makes it almost certain that Triton is a captured Kuiper belt object in the same size class as the dwarf planet Pluto. Meanwhile, tidal forces are believed to create a deep ocean underneath its surface. One of the main reasons for going to Neptune and Triton rather than Uranus is that we get an ice giant and a Pluto-like Kuiper belt object in one fell swoop. The Neptune Odyssey mission concept is for a flagship class orbiter and atmospheric probe to the Neptune-Triton system. With a similar design and scope to NASA's Cassini mission to Saturn, the spacecraft would launch in 2031 on NASA's Space Launch System, or a SpaceX Falcon Heavy, get a gravity assist from Jupiter, and arrive at Neptune in 2043 after a 12-year cruise. If it must launch after 2031, the Jupiter assist won't be possible. A direct-to-Neptune journey would take 16 years. NASA has got the wits to do that if it chooses to, as long as it's consistent with the timeline that's decided on for the Mars sample return missions. When it finally arrives, it would go into orbit for Neptune, simultaneously releasing an atmospheric entry probe that would take 37 minutes to descend. The spacecraft would be equipped with a camera or capture video of the probe falling away into Neptune's atmosphere. It would also have another onboard camera to beam back images, just as the Juno spacecraft does at Jupiter. During its 4-year mission, Neptune Odyssey would study the planet, its rings, aurora, small moons and space environment, and fly by Triton multiple times. Eventually it would plunge inside the rings to perform a final death dive into the Neptune's atmosphere. Neptune Odyssey isn't the only attempt to give NASA a blueprint for a mission to the 8th planet from the Sun. In 2021, NASA toyed with Trident, a proposed Discovery-class mission to conduct a flyby of Neptune and Triton. It would have launched in 2026 to reach Neptune and Triton in 2038. It was passed over in favour of 2 missions to Venus, Da Vinci Plus and Veritas. There were mixed feelings when that wasn't selected. It was so highly rated, and I hope that NASA is sending us a message that they wanted to select something that orbits Neptune. Finally, amazing the science. This is bit. Something that could make Neptune orbit attractive are plans to make it cross-divisional mission. We're going to carry a camera to take images looking back at our solar system, like Carl Sagan's pale blue dot photo. That's not just an outreach activity. It's crucial for us to understand what our planet looks like from an astrophysical context in order to understand our observations of exoplanets. The long cruise phase would also be used to take measurements of the solar wind. We've got the Parker Solar Probe close to the Sun and the Voyager spacecraft outside the interstellar medium, so having something that joins those up with 21st century instrumentation would be very desirable for the heliophysics division at NASA. What's the future for a mission to Neptune, you may ask? What remains to be seen, or that remains to be seen. But the chance to reveal an ice giant would delight both planetary scientists and exoplanet hunters. If it can simultaneously explore the solar wind and reveal Triton as a precious ocean world, then a journey to the farthest known planet of the Sun could be a real crowd pleaser. You're tuned to ASV Radio, VK3EKH, broadcasting on these frequencies. Now, I can see it's coming up to 11 o'clock, so we've managed to fill up the hour with a lot of dialogue. There was one more article here, but it's way too long. And I do have another one here, and that can be waited until it's actually quite short, but I won't worry about that. And that one too, I'll leave that till next week. Alright, let's zoom across to spaceweather.com. And here I can actually put up a couple of images out of courtesy of spaceweather.com. So let's just do that. I'll show you the latest disk of the Sun. We're back. Alright, now in HD that would be so much better, because if I'm looking at my off-air monitor here from the repeater, which is only standard def, and you can barely read those numbers in the disk there. There's a few sunspots, but a little bit blurred up in the standard def image, but HD you can see on YouTube without a problem. So the solar wind is currently at a speed of 329.8 kilometers a second at a density of 12 protons per cubic centimeter. Sorry. The disk of the Sun, as we speak, you can see it on your screens right now. There are 7 sunspots, and they're all designated various numbers. I won't go through them all. The current sunspot number is at 103. The solar radio sun, or the radio sun, measured at a wavelength of 10.7 centimeters. The flux is currently 97 solar flux units. So that's down from last week. 97 solar flux units. And the geomagnetic storm watch. There is a storm watch in progress. There's a minor G1 class geomagnetic storms are possible on the 20th of February when a co-rotating interreaction region, CIR, is expected to hit the Earth's magnetic field. CIRs, co-rotating interaction regions, are transition zones between slow and fast-moving solar wind streams. Solar wind plasma piles up in these regions, producing shock-like structures that can spark bright auroras. So things could be looking up in the next few days. And now I've got an image here too, which is a GIF image. It's an animated GIF image. Let's see if I can play that. So I'll bring that up now too. And I'm still there. Okay, now you won't be able to see that happening. According to spaceweather.com, there are 2 doomed comets. It's not unusual for one comet to fall into the Sun. On February 16th, 2 comets did. The Solar and Heliospheric Observatory, SOHO, recorded their death dive. And you can actually see that on the screen, on the screen at the moment. Traveling in tandem, the 2 comets disintegrated as they approached the Sun. The smaller one vaporized first, and the larger penetrated a bit deeper before it disappeared. There's actually a higher resolution movie available, believe it or not. These are Kouroots sun grazers. K-R-E-U-T-Z. Kouroots? Is that how you pronounce that? Kouroots. Anyway, they call them Kouroots sun grazers. Fragments from the breakup of a single giant comet many centuries ago. They get their name from the 19th century German astronomer Henrik Kouroots. Kouroots, there'd be a drr in there. A Kouroots. Who studied them in detail. Kouroots fragments pass by the Sun's almost every day, most measuring less than only a few meters across, are too small to see, but occasionally bigger fragments like these show up on SOHO coronagraphs. Sun-grazing comet expert Carl Battams of the Naval Research Lab in Washington, D.C. speculates that these two ice balls may have been a single fragment as recently as a few months ago. Solar heating would have split them apart and ultimately obliterated them completely as they approached the sun. So yeah, you can just sort of make out those two comments there on the screen. So that was rather back to entertaining footage, I thought. Alrighty then, and what else is there on that space weather? No, it's just that. Yeah, right. Okay. So near-Earth asteroids, as mentioned before, potentially hazardous asteroids. As of February 18, 2022, there were 2,270 potentially hazardous asteroids, and they're all listed there. Well, some of them are the biggest ones, but we don't have much to worry about, so that's cool. We're going to be still here for a few more 100 years to come, hopefully. Alright, you're tuned to ASV Radio VK3EKH. I think I will close it down for tonight. Thank you for watching and listening to us on 160 and 80 metres and via the Television Melbourne TV repeater. We'll see you all next week. To everybody who sent in messages there on the email, thank you, Ian, and thank you, Don. We'll catch up with you in a minute, no doubt. And to everybody on the chat window, Martin, VK7JAH, Cassiopeia, Roberto, and more Roberto. So there wasn't too many people up there on the chat window tonight. Yes, I agree, Rob. It was. So there you go. Thanks for that. So we shall conclude transmissions in 1865. We'll conduct a quick callback on 80 metres. So for those stations listening on 160, if you want to come in on 80, by all means, 3541. Otherwise, there won't be any callback here. So this is VK3EKH concluding on 1865 kilohertz, the medium wave service, and we'll be back next week to do it all again. This is VK3EKH, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria. Again, any information about the ASV can be found at the website www.asv.org.au, and all will be revealed. Good night, everybody listening on 1865. We'll see you back again next week. This is VK3EKH, ASV Radio. Alright, to stations on 80 metres. Yes. Where's my pen? Where is my pen? There it is. Alright, stand by. Just checking the pen's working. This is VK3EKH, listening on 3541 for any stations wishing to check in.
VK3JR, VK3HDX, VK3VIN.
Okay, VK3JR, VK3HDX and VK3VIN. Any other stations? Well, it is very quiet tonight. That's okay. Ah dear. G'day Frank, good signal from you. VK3JR, VK3EKH.
VK3EKH, VK3JR. Good evening, friends. Good evening, Ian. Good evening, Don. Anyone else who might be listening. Very interesting broadcast, thank you. The number of exit planets hasn't changed from last week. 4651, there are 9 awaiting confirmation as well. I won't hold it. Thank you for doing it. Look forward to talking again next week. VK3JR, VK3EKH.
Wow, what a signal. VK3JR, VK3EKH. Thanks, Frank. Good on you, mate. Thanks for the quick report. You're hitting 35 over 9 here tonight. Absolutely super strong signal. you might want to just fractionally back off on the compression. I just that little bit of extra compression you've got there, so maybe just a little bit less on that. But you're 35/9, so oh geez, the short skip is working really well. Anyway, thanks Frank, good on you mate, and take care. Don, VK3HDX, VK3EKH.
Yeah, thanks Clint, VK3EKH in the group, VK3HDX. Good evening everyone, good day Clint. Good broadcast tonight. Was most enjoyable. Looks very good on the YouTube stream in HD. It's handy when you put the graphics up there. So yeah, most enjoyable. Thanks again, and we'll be back next Friday night. VK3EKH and the group VK3HDX.
Thanks Don, VK3HDX, VK3EKH, good signal from you too. You're actually about the same, 30 to 35 over. So you're doing very, very well. Thanks Don. Yeah, my HD transmitter, the two SR boards that we use, I posted them today. So they're off to Stefan over there in SR Systems in Germany. Hopefully it'll take about a week or so to get there, and hopefully they'll be quickly repaired, and I can get back to broadcasting HD on the repeater. Yeah, anyway, that's those boards went off today, so hopefully they'll get repaired, or at least I think it's the HD encoder and the mini mod board, and I think the HD encoder itself is okay, but it's the mini mod board that produces the RF information, the traditional haystack, let's call it, for the output. It's not there, there's no haystack, so something's going on with it. Anyway, we'll find out fairly soon. Thanks Don. Ian in Kangaroo Flat, VK3VIN, VK3EKH. Come on.
VK3EKH and the group VK3VIN. G'day Don and Frank. Both of you are 10 to 20 dB over 9. And Frank, your audio is just a little bit gravelly for some reason. But plenty of signal, and plenty of signal from all of you. Clint, you peaked 30 dB over 9 on occasions there, but hung around the 20, and occasionally dropped down very weak. Signal was 10 dB over 9. Good broadcast, and interesting. I always enjoy the history, and it's hard to believe that Colonel John Glenn went into space in 1962. My goodness. Such a lot has happened, hasn't it, in space travel and space events. And let's hope we get a little bit more excitement. There's an ABC podcast, Conversations, and it's about Yuri Gagarin. And it's I haven't heard it yet. I haven't listened to it. It's Conversations is the podcast, and the title is Yuri Gagarin, the Cold War Cosmonaut. I'll be interested to listen to that, see what it's about. They do some wonderful things on the Conversations podcast, with a couple of excellent interviewers too. So there we are. Thanks for the broadcast, Clint. And I did say in my email or suggest or wonder if there was ever a chance of getting hold of some of the material from that first Astronomical Society broadcast in 1922. Just the record, and just to know what they talked about would be fascinating. Although not impossible. Thanks again. And in the next couple of weeks, I have some little surprises coming from the studios at VK3's Inn. And we'll see how it all goes down. VK3EKH, VK3VIN.
Thanks, Ian, VK3VIN in Kangaroo Flat, VK3EKH. And yeah, look, I suspect that I could, if I was to visit the ASV library, which I haven't done for quite a few years, but if I take some time out to visit the library when it's open and look back into some of the history of ASV, I might be able to dig up. But it would probably come from the published magazine or newsletter. I'm not really sure when Crux started being published for the society. I don't think it was in the first year or anything like that, but still, some of those early Cruxes, which would be at the library, would carry some history with it too. It'd be interesting to have a look at that for sure. So I'll keep it in mind, but that would require a dedicated trip into Melbourne to do that too. So yep, we'll keep that in mind as well. In fact, I might be able to contact the librarian. The person who looks after the library is changing hands at the moment. I think they're looking for a new librarian for the ASV. So I'm not sure if anybody has put up their hand at this stage, but yeah. Anyway, that's another story. All right, thanks, Ian. You were peaking around 20 over 9. That just as you were putting it back to me. Otherwise, you were kind of hovering around the S9 to 10 over mark. Okay, and I'm not running anything flash here. It's just the 100 watts out of the Pro 3. So there's no linear on this thing. Haven't quite got that configured. Got to do something about that. Thanks, Ian. Is there anybody else wishing to come up tonight? VK3EKH listening. Oh, keep switching the wrong switch. Go ahead. Alright, we got VK3VAT and I think that was also VRS. Who was the other station calling in?
VK2 Alpha Bravo Tango, Mike at Baseman's Bay.
G'day Mike, haven't heard you for a while, mate. Alright, have a say Tony, VK3VAT, I believe you've got a visitor, VK3EKH.
VK3EKH, VK3VAT. We sort of watched some of the broadcast.
What?
We were out about, what were we doing? We were at Gippy Gate, and so I got, ATV presentation, I got conned into going somehow.
Oh, good.
But we did watch you from the club room in the car on YouTube on the trip home. So we thought, got home in time, so I better give you a call in. And everything's looking good, as usual. VK3EKH, VK3VAT. VRS, sorry.
Righto. Yeah, no worries, Tony. Did Peter have any reception off the repeater working? I know there was some issue later this afternoon. He had some problems with getting his Pluto device and something else working. So was it a success or were there issues?
Come on, Clint. You know nothing's ever straightforward, don't you? No, we didn't try and receive the repeater at all. It just basically went through all the stuff that is required, and even then just trying to transmit from the line to the receiver. It didn't want to play the game, and you know how it goes. But everyone was pretty happy, and I think they picked his brains towards the end there. So yeah, all good. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Tony. VK3VAT, VK3VRS in the shack, VK3EKH. Yeah, it's a bit of a pity because when it comes to the ATV, it certainly is a bit of a bonus if you can sort of fire up the repeater and say, look how easy it is to receive, and perhaps how easy it is to get into. Their club room just down here in Cranbourne is not a problem. I mean, it should have line of sight for Mount View. So to be honest, I can't see any problem with them, even from the club room. Setting up a TV link. The club organiser some television equipment. So maybe they're enthused to do something about it after tonight's little expo day. But nevertheless, very good. Thanks guys for calling in, and not a problem. Okay, Mike, VK2 ABT, Batman's Bay, VK3 EKH. Haven't heard you for a while, mate. How are you?
Yeah, okay. VK2 EKH, 3 EKH, VK2 ABT. Yeah, I'm okay, getting better. I haven't been on for a while. About 6 months ago, they had to put a moo cow valve in my heart, and I haven't been staying up too late since then. But still playing electronics, still reading New Scientist, and hearing about all sorts of funny things that are happening in other places besides planet Earth. Cliff. Yeah, spoke to Steve, the VK3YQA, and on the God, I can't even think properly, Steve. Yeah. Tonight, that was good, and always interested in astronomical type things, and I found this evening's discussions are quite interesting, Cliff. So back to you, VK3 EKH, anyone else listening? VK2 ABT.
Thanks, Mike. VK2 ABT, VK3 EKH returning. Very good. Yeah, Steve, VK3YJQ, Yankee Juliet Quebec, VK3YJQ. He's probably up at Heathcote right now, or if anything, I know that he's heading up to the Dark Sky site tomorrow. In which, most likely it'll be tomorrow morning, so he'll be already gone to sleep. He always likes to get an early night if he's heading up to Heathcote. And if anybody else is up at Heathcote listening in at the moment, g'day to you guys up there. Possibly Phil and maybe Mitch. G'day you guys if you're listening to us in the laboratory up there on the receiver, or maybe the receiver in the club room. But anyway, g'day guys if you're already up there. And I'm looking forward to seeing this new horn antenna fitted and play and getting connected up and working. So really looking for pictures. Don't forget to send pictures throughout this weekend of what you guys are doing up there. And of course, Mr. Arrowsmith is heading up there tomorrow as well. All very good. That's another story. Anyway, thanks Mike for calling in, and that operation doesn't sound all that good, but it's keeping you alive. Whatever they've done is obviously it's kept you alive and back in good health to some degree. As you no doubt know, Steve has also been through a very similar open heart surgery type thing a few years ago, and he's bounced back from all that serious surgery like you wouldn't believe. So I hope it never happens to me. Anyway, but you're sounding in good tone, not a problem, Mike, and good to see that you're still reading New Scientist. Actually, I used to pick up New Scientist from this. I usually go shopping on Fridays, and I usually pick up a copy of New Scientist, and if there's anything of astronomical interest, I'd always read that out, but I haven't done that for a while. I must see if Coles still sell New Scientist. Alright, Mike, take care, look after yourself, and thanks very much for calling in tonight. It was most appreciated. So, final listen on the frequency for anybody else before we disappear. VK3 EKH. Just noise. Alright, thanks everybody for listening, much appreciated, and we'll be back next Friday 10 o'clock to kick it all off again, and hopefully we'll have some more interesting articles to read that I won't accidentally delete on the screen. Anyway, alright, cheers everyone. Everybody watching on YouTube, look after yourselves. Don't worry about subscribing if you don't want to. That's fine by me. It's just a whole lot of other crap that people do, so just tune in whenever I'm on. That's the main thing. This is VK3 EKH, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria, and more information about that can be gleaned from the ASV website, www.asv.org.au. Signal reports and whatever can be sent to vk3ekh@gmail.com. And this for those people that are into the ATV side of it, I broadcast the WIA broadcast, the visual representation, which is being put together by Bevan, VK5 Baker Delta BD. He does such a great job in producing for 30 minutes the visual side of the broadcast, so that can be found on the YouTube, his YouTube channel. But for us folks here in Melbourne, I download the video that he produces just after midnight and get it all ready to go on the Melbourne TV repeater at 10:30 Sunday morning, and then repeat it again at 8 o'clock in the evening. And if there's any reports from Tamitha, solar reports that might come through before the 10:30 start, I'll feature her solar report as well if there's anything there. So that's Sunday, and of course Tuesday evening at 7:30 is the Melbourne ATV net, where we get a whole bunch of stations to come up and put their faces up on camera, which is always an interesting session. Thanks to Ian, who has been running that over the last few weeks, VK3 Quebec Lima, and now back to Neil, VK3 BCU, who's been on a sojourn overseas, and we're going to hear a bit more about that next Tuesday apparently. Anyway, cheers everyone, take care, and we'll see you next week. This is VK3 EKH, the official station of the Astronomical. I've said that already. Anyway, cheers everyone, take care. So that's 80 metres. Cheers, Mike. Alright, so we shall now conclude.
Oh yeah, you're really good on 80 metres. I was listening on 60 metres, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's quite a good signal all the time. All that's it.
Oh, thanks, Mike. That was, yeah, good. Excellent. That's great to know. Thanks, mate. There you go. Alright, let's kill the stream. So cheers everybody watching the stream, and we'll be back next week. So we are closing